Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to the Grand Chess Tour in 2019 in the St. Louis Chess Club. So unbelievable stuff. After 3 rounds we have the leader Levon Aronian, from the top grandmaster from Armenia, has now 3 out of 3. He has won all of his games. Unbelievable games he has played so far, and today I wanted to show you a very cool game played in the first round with the black pieces against Vachier-Lagrave. Uh, when Levon Aronian is playing well, I think he's really unbeatable. He's playing this classical style of chess. We all know Garry Kasparov is half Armenian, so when I watch Levon Aronian, it's like watching Garry Kasparov's games. They have really the same style of playing chess, and I really like it. And I hope that Levon Aronian can stay in this top form, because I always considered Levon Aronian to be at least a World Championship challenger. We'll see what will happen in the tournament. In the last tournament that Levon Aronian has played in the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia, I've seen one of his games live. He hasn't lost a game, so unbelievable performance, and he's back in chess, because there was a phase in his life in which he maybe didn't play such a good chess, but these days he's again in top shape. And Garry Kasparov mentioned about Levon Aronian once, that the chess world is a better place when Levon Aronian is playing good chess. So it's really true. You see why. Again, he played a very nice and classical game in this Italian game. Here Vachier-Lagrave with the white pieces played e4. We have e5 by Aronian, knight on f3, knight on c6, bishop on c4, knight on f6, and now d3. There is this line. I'm showing you this line only if you have troubles maybe to play against this knight on g5 variation here. There is this very cool tactical line which you can apply sometimes. d5 after e takes d5. Here my recommendations, of course, it's maybe not the best way, but it's the most aggressive way to handle the situation, is to play the move b5. If your opponent takes, bishop takes on b5, then queen takes on b5. Here after bishop on c6 you have queen on c6, and queen on f3 can be played. Now we have e4, pardon me, and after queen on b3, here h6 can be played. Then here after a potential queen on f7, you have king on d8. The king has to retreat here, and now you have a very powerful move e3. So if your opponent tries f3, you can simply take. After g takes f3, you can take also this pawn. So this is very dangerous. White cannot castle here, because you simply push forward this pawn, and after rook on e8, e1, you have queen on d1, and now it will be game over here for white. I'm just saying here in these variations, I recommend you here to go this d5 line. Although the most common line is this knight on a5 idea with bishop on b5 and then c6, but really try it out sometimes if you have troubles to play against the setup after e takes d5 here. A sort of gambit line with the move b5. I like it. I like to play it sometimes. Check it out, and maybe you could have success in these types of variations. So in the game, Vachier-Lagrave choose the more calm line here with the move d3. We have bishop on c5, sort of a symmetrical setup by both of players. We have c3, and now castling played by white, and here d6 also, and rook on e1. This rook on e1 is sort of a positional idea in which you can maybe try knight on d2, then a knight on f1, knight on g3, and maybe try an outpost on f5 like in the Ruy Lopez game. So the Italian and the Ruy Lopez game are similar when it comes to this static setups. Like here we have a classical variation of the Italian game. So the strategical ideas are similar, although of course the game itself it's not the same, but there are these position ideas for both of these variations. So a6 was played by Levon Aronian, and now we have a5 a4 preventing some b5 ideas, and now bishop on a7, really fixing this bishop on a very important diagonal. And now h3 was played by Vachier-Lagrave. This h3 is of course preventing some bishop on g4 ideas, some pinning ideas. Then we could maybe break in the center somehow, so that's why h3. And now king on h8 was played. And I've seen this move by Levon Aronian. He plays it very often. He played it, I think, against Vishwanathan Anand, with the idea, you see, after d4 to play knight on g8, having a very nice square for the knight. And here Vachier-Lagrave choose to go d takes e5 after knight takes on e5, knight takes on e5, and d takes e5, queen on d8, rook on d8. So now the position is much more simplified, and there is this problem: you cannot take this pawn on f7, then you get rook on f8. You have to move the bishop, and then you get the bishop on f2. So tricky stuff. So that's why here knight on d2 was played, and now g6. Here we have knight on f3, and now we have f6. So now we have again a mobile and a flexible and a healthy pawn structure around the black's king. Basically what we want to do is play maybe king on g7, improve the position of the king, then maybe bishop on d7, bishop on c6, connecting the rooks, try to maneuver somehow with the knight, try to find also some good squares for the knight, maybe knight on e7, then g5, then knight on g6, and then maybe some outposts on f4. So this position allows many removing of pieces, because the position is now really static. There are not so many tactical possibilities for both sides, so you have to play on this improvements of pieces. b3 was played with the idea to get with the bishop into the game through the square a3. Here bishop on d7 played by Aronian, and now bishop on a3, bishop on c6, and now we have g4, g5, of course, preventing g5 by white. So that's why you have to stay compact here, not allowing some infiltrations of these minor pieces. So if the knight comes somehow into the game, it will be very bad for black. King on g2 was played. You see king on g7. Both of the sides are improving the position of the king. So you see many of these improvements of the positions. a5 was played, sort of a positional idea to grab some space on the queen side, with some possibilities, maybe b4, and then after that b5 if the position allows it. Of course, it has to be supported with some rook moves, but here the position is still not so complex, still without huge tactical possibilities. Knight on h6 was played by Aronian. Here king on g3, and now knight on f7. Again a reposition, maybe with the idea here to play knight on d6. Rook from a to d1 was played, and now rook takes on d1, rook takes on d1, and now Aronian makes a slightly inaccuracy. He plays the move rook on d8. Maybe a better way would have been to simplify the position with the move b5 after a takes b6 with the en passant, bishop on c6, and really the idea would be to try somehow to trade off this weak pawn on the a file and really go into a drawish endgame. But here after rook on d8, rook takes on d8, and knight takes on d8. Here you allowed white to get a very active square for the bishop, so that's why knight on f7 had to be played again. And here knight on d2, again a reposition of the knight. We're searching now for the best squares, so probably maybe here the idea would be knight on b1, knight on a3, and then try maybe with b4 and b5 some pawn breakthroughs. But it's really hard to find space here, because the pawn structure is really too symmetrical. We have 3-on-3 situations here on the queen side. We have also 3-on-3 situation here on the king side, so that's why it's really hard to create some pass pawn situations which could deflect your opponent's minor pieces in order to prevent you from promotion. So that's why here you have to be careful and watch out for your pawn. So in these types of games, I think Magnus Carlsen is really the best player these days. He plays in these drawish games really the best moves, and you see now that Levon Aronian will also find some good ideas in order to attack at least some weak pawns here. Knight on h8 was played. We have bishop on d8, bishop on b8, bishop on d5 was played, and now knight on g6. Here bishop on c6 doesn't bring you so much, because after b takes c6, okay, we have now weak pawn structure, but there is really hard. It's really hard for this knight to try to attack these both pawns, which are of course on like squares, and we have now the dark square bishop. So basically, although the position, the pawn structure is not so good anymore, still it's hard, as I mentioned, for white to attack these pawns. Maybe then after that we could try to attack this bishop with knight on f8, and then maybe knight on e6, really forcing this bishop to go back here somehow, and then improve the position of our own bishop with the move bishop on a7. So here that's why knight on c4 was played, and here we have very important move, bishop takes on d5. After e takes d5, knight on f4 was played by Aronian with an attack on the pawn on d5, and here the best move for white would have been king on f3. After knight takes on d5, you have at least a good square for the king, because now the king can come very actively into the game. If you try something like knight on c3, this will be very dangerous, because then knight on king on f5 is very dangerous, because in the next move you take out this pawn, and then this pawn is weak, also the pawn on g5. So it will be, I think, a winning continuation for white. So that's why you shouldn't take this pawn. So the best way maybe to continue in this position is to play the move c6, and then if the king comes into the game, somehow challenge this king here with some trading of bishops ideas and similar stuff. So but in the game, Vachier-Lagrave made a mistake. He makes now this decisive mistake. He plays the move knight on e3, and here we have now the fork on the king and the pawn. Here king on f3 was played, now knight takes on c3, bishop on e7 was played, and now bishop on a7, improving the position of the bishop. d6, we have of course c takes d6, knight on f5. It's not a problem, because we have king on f7. After bishop on d6, we have now very powerful move e4. The king has to retreat. The king goes now back on an inactive square on g2 here, and now the king comes very good into the game. We have now very good and centralized king, which is important in an endgame. Here bishop on a3 was played, and now knight on d5, here knight on d6, but now e3, simply taking off the pawns, now improving the position of the knight. And here king on f3 was played, knight on c2, knight on c4. Vachier-Lagrave is searching here maybe for some simplifications to go maybe into a drawish endgame, but here now knight on d4 was played, king on e4, and now knight takes on b3. We see Levon Aronian grabs another pawn. Here bishop on b4 was played, knight on c5, again a very active knight. You see many moves of this knight were played. That's why king on f3 was played, knight on d3, and in this position Vachier-Lagrave resigned. So you see, this decisive mistake was this knight maneuver. Vachier-Lagrave lost many pawns. Let's see the possible continuations. If you try something like bishop on c3 in order to improve the position, then you have knight on f2 attacking this pawn. If you try something like king on g3, of course you get again the fork. So very annoying this knight. If you try something like king on g2, then knight on e4 anyway, and now we can play again more active here with our own king. Maybe in some moves grab this pawn, and then we have two connected pass pawns in the endgame, which are of course completely winning. Okay, congratulations to Levon Aronian for these great games. As I said, he is now 3 out of 3. Let's see what will happen in the continuation of the tournament. Magnus Carlsen is back after the loss in the first round against Ding. He has now won 2 consecutive games, and we'll see what will happen. We have now 2 more days with 3 of this rapid rounds, and then we have many of this blitz games, so we'll see who take the lead and who win this tournament eventually in the end. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess game from this tournament. It was the game played by Ding against Magnus Carlsen, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.